we must admit very painfully that Nagas are divided on tribal lines at the moment. Naga family today is full of difficulties and frustrations. But friends, ladies and gentlemen, I still have a dream that we will come together again for the glory of the Naga people. What I'm going to impress you, what NSUD, which we are celebrating today, its 60th anniversary, you call it Diamond Jubilee, came into being, which is after the formation of the Nagaland state. I'm not very impressed, of course, with the crowd, because in the Naga context, the Nagaland state came into being in 1963, was carved out. A very small portion from the Naga areas. Of all the gatherings, if you ask me what makes you happy, in fact, I would point out that our friend coming from Arunachal Pradesh and Naga from Arunachal Pradesh and being in our midst is one of the most, that has made me so happy. And what I would like to urge upon the young intellectuals today is our history is so rich, our history is rich, politically correct decisions were taken by our elders, and therefore, we in no way should twist the history that our elders have built on. Prime Minister of India, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, he said tribal areas, referring to the Naga areas actually, that they are neither a part of India nor Burma, nor Indian state, nor any of the foreign state. He was in jail. They compares Mr. President, NSUD and his esteemed colleagues, the convener of the organizing committee of this Diamond Jubilee of the NSUD, our Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. D. Azile, Honorable Ministers from the state of Manipur and the state of Nagaland, Honorable MLAs from the state of Arunachal Pradesh and Manipur, friends from India, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not very impressed, of course, with the crowd, because when I was contacted by the convener, he told me that you will be addressing not less than 3,000 crowd. But I guess not even the 50% of what he has told me. Anyway, with the advancement of technology, I hope those of our friends who have not joined us in person, they'll be watching us with the modern technology. So it's all the same. In 1963, there were lots of events that took place. International. If we see the international aspect, Kuwait became the 111th member of the United Nations. 32 African countries came together like the Nagas and formed African Union. In India, peacock, which is quite a lot of peacocks available here in Delhi, got recognized as a national bird of India. The latest one, which India is so talked about, is the launching of the rocket, the space, going to the space. So in 1963, it was first launched in Guerrilla in Tumba region. In the Naga context, the Nagaland state came into being in 1963. Which, of course, was carved out a very small portion from the Naga areas. What was most interesting was the NSUD, which we are celebrating today, its 60th anniversary. You call it Diamond Jubilee, came into being, which is absolutely significant because of the fact that it was formed after the formation of the Nagaland state, which is interesting in a sense because despite of carving out a small portion of Naga homeland and forming Nagaland state, still then, Nagas studying here in Delhi, the intellectuals, the elders, envisioned that no matter what the forces against us are divided, we will still come together. And that was the vision, how this NSUD was formed. When I was asked to speak, I suggested to the convener of the organizing committee, why don't you ask some academician, some doctorate, PhD will have to speak on this, because this topic is very challenging in a sense that we have to go back to the history, the Naga history. And also it is interesting in a sense that because we must admit very painfully that Nagas are divided on tribal lines at the moment. I was just listening to our honorable advisor MLA from Arunachal. I think he's from Dangsa Naga. So excited to see him in this platform. Of all the gatherings, if you ask me what makes you happy, in fact, I would point out that our friend coming from Arunachal Pradesh and Naga from Arunachal Pradesh and being in our midst is one of the most, that has made me so happy. And that is the sign of your team, rekindling the flame of Naga unity. My friend Mr. Inaka Asumi is sitting here. He's a former General Secretary of the NSF as well as a former Vice President of Naga Ho. He is settled here in Delhi. We worked together in the NSF. I was Social and Cultural Secretary at that point of time. We went to Diram to organize Naga Student Union Arunachal Pradesh. And when I accepted the challenge of speaking on this team, because the convener said someone who has practical experience would do justice to this topic. So I thought I also have some practical experience. It doesn't mean that I know a little better than you, no. If we are going back to the Naga history, shall we start from 1826? The Treaty of Yandabo. So 1826 to 2002, 2023 will be 197 years of Naga history. Because of this treaty, 1826 Treaty of Yandabo, it's a small village in Burma where the first Anglo-Burma war came to an end. The historians will know better. And out of this treaty, the Ahom kingdom as well as the Manipur kingdom came within the suzerainty, within the control of the British. Whereas the Naga areas were kept outside the British Empire. Or shall we go back to 1832 when the British first came in contact with the Naga people? 1832. When Captain Pimberdum and Captain Jenkins, I hope my memory is not failing me, led an expedition to the Naga hills, and they were badly defeated. So shall we go back there, which is about it will be 191 years of history. But since we didn't start on time, we have wasted a lot of time, about 1.5 hours. So I'll not dwell into all this history. Or shall we go back to formation of the Naga Club in 1918, where the Naga elders, despite of having a very less education, unlike us, came together to form a group, to assert a right, and also represent our people, which will be 105 years of history. I think it will be too long to speak on this 15 minutes time. Or shall we go back to 1929, submission of the memorandum to Sir Simon Commission by the Naga Club, which will be 1929 to 2023 will be 94 years of history. I think it's also a very short moment to speak on that. But they have asserted in the memorandum that leave us alone to determine for ourselves as in ancient times. Or shall we go back to Declaration of Naga Independence on the 14th of August 1947, one day prior to the declaration of Indian independence by the Naga National Council, which will be 76 years of history. I think time will be too short for us to dwell on that. Or shall we go back to the Naga Willendri plebiscite, which was conducted in May 1951, which will be again 72 years of history, a time too short for us to dwell. I'm just giving you a gist. Or shall we go back to 1952, when the Nagas successfully and with one wish boycotted the first general election of the Indian general election as a follow-up of the 1951 plebiscite. Or which will be again 71 years of history. Or shall we go back to 1957? Again, boycotting the Indian general election by the Naga public, the second general election, which will be again 1957 to 2023 will be 66 years of history. I think this gathering, except one or two, except our Honorable Deputy CM Sir Diaz Ilang, all of us are below 66 years only. The rest are, I mean, only one, two of them. The rest are below 66 years of history. What I'm going to impress you, what I would like to urge upon the young intellectuals today is our history is so rich, our history is rich, politically correct decisions were taken by our elders, and therefore, we in no way should twist the history that our elders have built on. They have taken a lot of trouble, a lot of sacrifices have been made in bringing all these histories, and for which we are a proud inheritors of a history which no other nation can dispute with us. I would like to remind the congregation today, the gathering, about how the 9-point agreement came into being. Let us first look into the pioneers of India in the initial period of the formation of India as a nation. The minds of the Indian intellectuals. What Jawaharlal Nehru defined about the Naga areas. How he defined. The tribal areas are defined as being the long frontier of India, which are neither part of India, nor Burma, nor Indian state, nor any of the foreign state. This is one of the definitions given by none other than the first Prime Minister of India, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru. He said, tribal areas, referring to the Naga areas actually, that they are neither a part of India nor Burma, nor Indian state, nor any of the foreign state. He was in jail in 1944. In 1944. And in the jail, when he was in the jail in 1944, he was writing a memo, a diary. And while writing in 1944, in jail, this Jawaharlal Nehru had to say about the future of the Naga Hills. Let me quote what he has written. It may be desirable to fix a period of, say, 10 years after the establishment of the free Indian state, at the end of which the right to secede may be exercised through proper constitutional process and in accordance with clearly expressed will of the inhabitants of the area concerned. This statement appears to have the approval of the Congress Working Committee, because at that point of time the Congress Working Committee was very, very powerful. It was that forum, that body, that was determining the affairs of India as a nation. This quotation you will find in 595 page of the book written by Nehru, The Discovery of India. Please buy that book and go through it. And this was quoted by Neville Maxwell, very well-known correspondent, Southeast correspondent, a journalist, in his book about Nehru's intention of writing this in his memoir. Let us connect this Nehru's mind into framing of the 9-point agreement. This was written sometime in 1944. Now let us come back to 1947 9-point agreement. The governor of Assam was at that point of time Akbar Haidari. This Akbar Haidari and C. Raja Gobalacharya, these two gentlemen name used to get, I get puzzled with these two names. But anyway, so Sir Akbar Haidari was the governor of Assam, and he had intensive negotiation with the leadership of the NNC in June 27, 28, 29, 1947. Please keep listening the date of what I'm saying. June 27, 28, and 29 of 1947. Intensive 3 days negotiation between the governor of Assam, Mr. Akbar Haidari, and the leadership of the Naga National Council. And the outcome of that negotiation was signing the 9-point agreement. Let us connect with that. The 9-point agreement has 9 points only. That's why it is called 9-point agreement. What are the clauses in the 9-point agreement? Legislature, executive, judiciary, land, boundaries, taxation, arms act, regulation, means the 1873 inner line regulation. And point number 8 was period of agreement. Out of the 9th, the point number 8 was period of agreement. In the clause 8, it is written, at the end of 10 years of the agreement, the NNC will be asked whether they require this 9-point agreement to be extended for a further period, or a new agreement regarding the future of the Naga people arrived at. That is the point number 8 of the 9-point agreement. Giving a space for the Naga people to decide after the end of 10 years of the agreement. Let us connect with what Nehru has written when he was in jail in 1944. He was saying that, say, 10 years. Huh? desirable to fix a period of, say, 10 years. Let us come back to the 9-point agreement. It was reflected, the Nehru thought was reflected in the 9-point agreement when the 9-point agreement was signed. Point number 8 of the 9-point agreement. And therefore, after signing the agreement, that was June 1947, then in August 1947, the Nagas also declared independent, India also declared independent. Government of India started saying that they have inherited this agreement from the British era. What I'm trying to convey, what I'm trying to argue is, no. This was in the thought process, in the thinking process of the Indian intellectuals, and also the leadership. Leadership means what? Who? Jawaharlal Nehru was very much a part of, was at the helm of affairs. Mahatma Gandhi. And you all know what Mahatma Gandhi has assured the Naga delegation when they met him in 1947 in Bangi colony. The Nagas have every right to be independent. And therefore, this agreement was not a sudden outcome. It was properly architected one. It was properly envisaged agreement. Now, how this could not take off, and what are the consequences of not taking off, of not implementing this 9-point agreement? Both the government of India, the Indian armies, as well as the Naga armies, including the Naga civilians, there was a heavy casualties for both the nations. Let us assume that way, for not being able to implement the 9-point agreement. Now, in 1949, because the Nagas, as a simple people, as a straightforward people, whatever we discuss, whatever we agreed upon, we hang on it, we stick to it. And therefore, the idea was that since we have already signed this agreement, this has to be implemented for a period of 10 years. Then after that, we will decide which way we go. Since it was not taking off, the Naga leadership met the Governor General, the first Governor General of India, C. Rajagopalachari, in Shillong. And what C. Rajagopalachari told the Naga delegation, India wants friendship with you. India, the way he is using the word, please carefully listen. India wants friendship with you. He is not saying that you are Indians. India wants friendship with you. It does not want to appropriate the land of the Nagas. The Nagas have the freedom to act as they want, to be a part of India or stay outside if they think that they have, if it is best for their interest to be isolated. That was what the first Governor General of India, Mr. C. Rajagopalachari, told the Naga delegation. Now, what has happened in between this, from 1947, from 1944 to 47 to 49, now let us come back to 53. When Jawaharlal Nehru, along with the British Premier, Mr. Tangen Yunu, visited Kohima via Imphal. The Naga delegation, represented by the Naga National Council, they wanted to address the gathering because a huge gathering was gathered in the local ground Kohima. And they wanted to say welcome address and also submit a representation. However, the Naga delegation, the Nagas were not given time to say the welcome address of the visit of Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru as well as Yunu. They were denied audience. They were denied a slot of speaking on that very important occasion. Under whose advice? Indian intelligence from that point, from that time onwards, were very active in sabotaging to arriving to an honorable solution to this Naga political issue. And the DC at that point of time in Kohima was Mr. Paraka Tati. It was he who denied the opportunity of the Naga people to say the welcome address as well as to submit a representation to these two prime ministers. And what Murkut Ramuni, not Murkut Ramuni, P.N. Mulik, he was the intelligence chief bureau and also the personal secretary to Nehru. What he has written in his book, My Years with Nehru. Up to this time, which means on the 30th March 1953, when Nehru and UNU visited Kohima, the Naga people wanted to say, welcome you, sir. Also, this is what we think. We wanted to submit a representation. When that was denied, the whole crowd walked out from Kohima local ground. There were only few people, and it is also recorded that they were only government servants sitting to listen to the two prime ministers. So, according to the record written by Mr. P.N. Mulik, the Chief Intelligence Bureau, and also the Personal Secretary to Nehru, up to this time, it must be said to the credit of the Nagas that they were not thinking of any violent movement. Meaning to say that if an opportunity was given to the Naga people to say the welcome address as well as to submit the representation to these two honorable prime ministers during their visit on the 30th of March 1953, there wouldn't be any violent conflict between the Naga armies as well as the Indian armies. That is what P.N. Mulik was trying to record. Now, after that, what happened? The government of India intensified militarization of the entire Naga areas. They have passed an act called Assam Maintenance of Public Order, 1953. The act empowers the Assam Rifles, the Assam Police to arrest anyone whom they suspect. Such laws were promulgated to tempt the Nagas. In one such incident, in 1955, the Naga fighters, they attacked two Assam rifle games in the remote areas in Gyeongsang district. Now, the Naga fighters overpowered the Indian armies. What the record says, in an attack in one of the villages in Gyeongsang area, where two battalions of the Assam Rifles were stationed, Naga fighters gained control. Now, after that, they captured all the ammunition as well as the personals, Assam Rifle personals. One very interesting what they have done, the Naga fighters, which the government of India as well as our Indian brothers and sisters ought to know is the Nagas sent a letter through the policemen, civil policemen, they released to the Indian government, in which they said they had no desire to kill their Indian brothers. We appeal to you to release our Naga colleagues from your jails, because many of our Naga fighters were caught by the government of India, by the Assam Rifles, and they were put behind bars. So we appeal to you to release our Naga colleagues from your jails. It has never been our policy to treat our Indian brothers captured by us, means the Naga armies, in any inhuman manner. without knowing, maybe unconsciously or consciously, the Naga fighters, the Naga nationalists, they are not aware of what are the UN conventions on war, on ethics, on war ethics. Still then, they were behaving in a manner of an international standard, that we have no ill intention whatsoever to kill the Indian brothers. It's just that the war has been imposed on us because of the militarization, that we have to defend our land. That is where our elders, our Naga nationalists stood for it. Still then, Nehru was quite upset that in any case, the tribal rebels, he termed it tribal rebels, has to be crushed. He was challenging the Indian generals, how you cannot crush a small rebels like the Nagas. One such incident was his conversation, which you all know, I wish to remind you, with General Temia. He was in a shouting tone, telling General Temia that why can't you crush as small rebels? What did the general reply to Nehru? The Naga issue is not a law and order problem, but a political problem requiring political wisdom for solution. This is the words of the Indian general. That Naga issue is not a law and order issue, requiring political wisdom for political solution. Now, let us come back. Even after the creation of Nagaland state, the peace mission, which you all are aware, was necessitated to establish. There were actually 4 members, but we only know 3. One is Reverend Michael Scott, another one is B.B. Chalia, another one is Jayaprakash Narayan. The one forgotten name is Shankar Rao Dio. Because of his ill health, he could not participate in the peace mission. Otherwise, 4 personalities were chosen to be a part of the peace mission. This Shankar Rao Dio later on became a member of the Constituent Assembly in 1949. However, since he was not a part of the peace mission, we talk of only these 3 great personalities. Now, even after the 1963 creation of Nagaland state, what was the necessity of having this peace mission and engaging the Naga people for a political dialogue again? Before I go into it, let us come back to what Nehru has admitted in his letter to the Assam Chief Minister Vishnuram Methi in 1956. This will tell us why it is necessary for us to rekindle the flame of the Naga unity, because there were a lot of divisions by the government of India over our land and our people. One such admission by Nehru is one of their grievances. This is his letter to Assam Chief Minister Vishnuram Methi in 1956. One of their grievances, there means Nagas, he's referring to us, is that under our constitution, we split them up in different political areas, which I have already stated, our friends from Arunachal Pradesh coming. We split them up in different political areas. Whether it is possible or desirable to bring them together again is for us to consider. Also, what measure of autonomy we should give them so that they can lead their own lives without any sensation of interference. Our minds should be clear, and even now onwards, we should do nothing which will come in the way of that political approach, and we should let it be known that we want to be friends with the Nagas. This is what Nehru was writing to Vishnuram Methi. We wanted to be friends we want to be friends with the Nagas unless they revolt against us. He was writing to Vishnuram Methi as a sacred letter that India wants to be friends with Nagas unless we revolt. We didn't revolt voluntarily. We were forced upon. And for which we were forced to defend our land. This is how the history goes. Now, let me connect with what I have said, that 1964, after the formation of this peace mission, they did try their best to bring an honorable solution because of the fact that creation of Nagaland state was not an honorable solution. Nagaland state interim, the agreement was in 1960, okay? Remember that. Only on the 1st of December 1963, it was officially declared into as a state. So from still then, in 1964, of course the ceasefire came into effect on the 6th of September 1964, but it was signed on the 24th May, then 25, 26, after 2 days, on 27th of May, unfortunately, Nehru passed away. It is said that one thing that was worrying him a lot, one of the main issue that was troubling Nehru's heart was the Naga issue. And when the ceasefire was signed, after 2 days, unfortunately he passed away. What Reverend Michael Scott has written in his memoir, that he has written a short small book, The Search for Peace. When the ceasefire was first mooted, Mr. Nehru had promised that if cessation of operation could be arranged, he would preside at the talks himself. He had also expressed interest in the suggestions I made. I made means Reverend Michael Scott has given a suggestion to Nehru of a mix into Naga commission, which would be qualified to deal with many aspects of the Naga problem: constitutional, sociological, anthropological, and the political aspects vis-a-vis Naga politics and Indian Union politics. I hope you got what I'm trying to say. That when this ceasefire was mooted, Nehru was so excited that he was assuring the peace mission, Reverend Michael Scott and his team, that I myself will conduct the talk, will arrange, will preside the talk. Unfortunately, before the official dialogue started, he passed away. Now, with the passing of Nehru, the Indian Prime Minister, next to him was, of course, Ulzal Bilal Nanda, for about 10-15 days, I guess, a stopgap arrangement. But officially, Lal Bahadur Shastri took over. Now, what Lal Bahadur Shastri did, he also could not take off the political issue. Of course, he was interested. According to P.B. Chaliha, in November 1965, ceasefire 1964, 1965, he happened to meet Lal Bahadur Shastri. And he suggested that a cabinet minister should lead the government delegation to the Naga talks. Because you're all aware that when the ceasefire was signed, Foreign Secretary was entrusted to talk with the Naga people, to the Naga delegation. So he was suggesting that it should be dealt by a minister. What Shastriji replied to P.B. Chaliha? Why a minister? I am ready to talk with him myself. Let us see the second Prime Minister. Nehru was also interested to handle also the Lal Bahadur Shastri after the creation of the Nagaland state. I hope you are getting what I am trying to convey. But unfortunately, again, Lal Bahadur Shastri passed away. It's in Tashkent in 1966. So he could not talk to the Nagas. Now, after that, who has spoken to the Nagas? Indira Gandhi came in. In between, there were few people again, but Indira Gandhi came in. So Indira Gandhi had a direct talk with the Naga delegation. In one of the meetings, she said, the Naga delegation met Indira Gandhi, and she said, adjustments could be made to accommodate their urge of sovereignty. That is one of her statements. Adjustment could be made to accommodate their, means the Nagas' urge for sovereignty. Then again, in that year 1966, again the Naga delegation met her, and what she said in a very polite terms, India would not allow Nagaland to secede because of its strategic position. And common socio-economic interest. Which means the land of the Nagas, the Naga homeland, is such an important strategic area for the growth of Indian nation also, for the survival of the Indian nation as a whole. This is what the leaders were speaking. She could assure maximum autonomy and there would be no interference in internal affairs. Nagaland could keep, this is what Indira Gandhi said, Nagaland could keep its sovereignty and yet remain part of the Indian Union. I don't know how we will interpret this, but these are the few things that were going through in the minds of the Indian leadership. After that, who has dealt with the Naga issue is Morarji Desai. He had a direct conversation with our most respected, one of the tall leader of the Naga nation, Mr. A.Z. Piso. I don't want to go into all in details what they have discussed. But what Piso had told Morarji Desai was, I am 73, means 73 years, and you are older than me. How long are we going to be here? Even you and I do not agree today. That is not the end. Okay? At that point of time, Uncle Fiso was 73 years old. Morarji Desai was again much more older than Uncle Fiso. And he told him that even if you and I do not agree today, that is not the end. And for which we are talking today, because it has not ended. What we have to conclude is, throughout all this history, now after which, how many prime ministers have dealt? Narasimha Rao, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Devi Gowda, then Manmohan Singh, and this Narendra Modi. So series of prime ministers have dealt the Naga political issue, and we are happy that they are still seriously dealing. Hopefully a solution will be arrived. And therefore, rekindling the flame of Naga family is what binds us together. What brings us together is the Naga political issue, which is legitimate, which we have asserted long before the advent of the British, and even before India becoming an independent nation. Therefore, we in no way are attempting to secede from a nation that we agree. This is a part of the process that we have been in for the past so many years, I only would like to conclude that out of the 1963 events, I'll come back to that, apart from forming the NSUD as a very important forum of the Naga people, the great speech which Martin Luther King Jr. have delivered, that you all know, I have a dream. This is supposed to be one of the most effective, memorable speech ever delivered in the human history, after the Sermon on the Mount delivered by Jesus Christ. Let me conclude with what he said, just one sentence. I say to you today, my friends, that in spite of the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, I still have a dream. Our context, Naga family today, is full of difficulties and frustrations. But friends, ladies and gentlemen, I still have a dream that we will come together again for the glory of the Naga people. Thank you and Kugnali.